Hi Stitch Maniacs. Today is May 8th and I thought I would come and share with you what I accomplished in the first week of Stitch Mania 2017. I will apologize in advance. I have to do this rather quickly. I have company coming in under an hour, so I want to get this ready to upload while they are here and hopefully get it posted tonight. I didn't want to let too many more days go by without giving you an update, so without further ado, I will show you what I accomplished this last week. On May 1st, I chose a piece from Stitch Mania 2016 called Coffin Buzz, and when you last saw it, I had only gotten to the second line of stitching, so I was able to complete 3 more lines of stitching, not as much as I had hoped to, but there you have it. And this is stitched on, it looks like maybe a 28 count even weave, 2/2 using DMC. And again, that's a free one from Plum Street Stamplers. On May 2nd, I picked out Pepper Cricket Farm, a Dimensions kit by artist Charles Wysocki. Nice big blocks of color, but I didn't have a lot of stitching time that day, and I actually ended up frogging a little bit, but this is how far I got on this one. This one is stitched on an ivory count even weave 25 count 2/2. I didn't want to put this down, but like I said, I didn't have a lot of stitching time that day, and I'm anxious to get back to that. Day 3, I selected a free chart from Pineberry Lane. I think it's called Petite Stitches. It has 3 different pieces in it. And I'm stitching this on 36 count even, or 36 count linen. I have a finish, and I stitched this using Victorian Motto Sampler Shop Ultimate Floss Collection in the colors Cranberry Bog and Tea Leaves, and then just like an ecru for the seeds. And that was such a quick stitch. I went ahead and stitched the other 2 little motifs with it. Oh, and I used Vanna's bacon-based dyeing technique on the linen. I'm quite happy with the way it turned out. It's nice and prim. So on, are we up to day 4, May 4th? I pulled out another 2016 Stitch Mania piece from Prairie Schooler, The Needle's Eye. And I'm stitching the 2 little ladies down here. I didn't accomplish quite as much as I had hoped, but every stitch counts, right? So here we have, sorry, trying to get this where you can see it. This one, I just filled in quite a bit more on their hoop. And that is stitched on a 36 count 2/2. On day 5, I selected another 2016 Stitch Mania piece called I Believe in Santa, down here, by the Primitive Hare, and it's from the 2012 Just Cross Stitch Christmas magazine. And I have another finish, and this one is on a 28 count even weave 1/1, and I hand dyed that myself. On day 6th, May 6th, I selected Needle and Thread by Brenda Gervais. And I love her designs. However, I'm not a fan of her charts. I'm just not a fan of the colored charts. I find them a little more difficult to read, but I do love her designs. And this is how far I got on this one. And this is on a 36 count mellow, 1/2, using the Call for Threads. And she uses a combination of Weeks, Gentle Arts, and Classic Colorworks. You can see the beginning of the word thread there. I can't wait to get back to that one. Then on May 7th, I pulled out another Brenda Gervais called A Tisket, A Tasket. And this one is also on a 36 count linen that I used Vanna's Bacon Based. And I'm stitching it 1/2 with the Call for Threads, which again I think are Weeks Dye Works and Gentle Arts, and maybe a Classic Colorworks thrown in there too. I will warn you, if you've never stitched anything of Brenda's, she likes to throw in, okay, for example, on the Needle and Thread, there are 8 stitches in this one. It's the little blush on her cheeks, and rather than spend the $2.50 on a Gentle Arts, you could substitute out a DMC for that. I have another pattern in my Stitch Maynia pieces this year that has one stitch of a color. It actually happens to be, I think it's Wood Rose, the same color that the cheeks are in this. And I'm like, really? Couldn't you use that color more than that? But like I said, I love her designs, and where I can, when it's just a couple of stitches, I'm going to substitute. Anyway, that's it for my week this week. I have thoroughly enjoyed my selections this week. I think tonight, if I get a chance to stitch, fingers crossed I'll get a couple of stitches in. I'll be stitching Little House Needleworks. I think it's Little House Needleworks. Bless Our Home. And for the rest of the week, I don't know. I'm just kind of pulling at random to see what comes out, like I did last year, rather than have any set plan. I think the only set plan that I have is to stitch something Halloween related on the 13th of the month. Other than that, it's just whatever strikes my fancy that day. Oh, here's my Ort jar for the week. You can see that big blob of pinkish red in there. That was where I had to frog. But I thought it would be neat to just keep it for the whole month and see how much I collect. Okay, my friends, I hope you all are enjoying your stitching, whether you're doing Stitch Maynia or not. I thank you for joining me today, and hopefully I will be back next week with another update that's not quite so rushed. Until that time, happy stitching.